Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Just a short while back, the US President Donald Trump spoke to Prime Minister Modi extensively and the expansion of the G7 with an invitation to India as the big headline. This invitation to the G7 signifies our growing global stature and repositions us as a nation that will not tolerate Chinese aggression anymore. That's why when Indians give a call to boycott Chinese goods, China should be really scared. Here is what the movement is all about, and then we debate.
Recent videos from the Galwan Valley in Ladakh speak volumes about our brave soldiers who are standing their ground in the face of grave provocation. They forced PLA troops to retract. Now talks are on at both diplomatic and military levels to de-escalate the tension at the borders. Not very far away from the border, an engineer turned innovator's call to boycott Chinese products from Ladakh is resonating across the country.
We should, boycott made in China, whether it is hardware or software. And that is a stronger signal to this regime because they don't care so much about our bullet. When it comes to wallet, when it comes to economy, they're most scared of it because they're scared of their own public.
Some have pledged to consciously stop using everything Chinese. The others have made a start by boycotting Chinese social media app TikTok. In fact, the Prime Minister's call for self-reliance is a step towards making India an economic powerhouse by reducing dependency on imports completely. Interestingly, imports from China and India decreased to 317.64 billion in February from 429.55 billion in January.
आत्मनिर्भर भारत वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी के साथ पूरी तरह इंटीग्रेटेड भी होगा और सपोर्टिव भी। लेकिन ध्यान रखिएगा, आत्मनिर्भर का मतलब ये भी नहीं है कि हम स्ट्रैटेजिक क्षेत्रों में किसी पर निर्भर रहें।
The anti-China sentiment is strongest than ever before. Can a Swadeshi economic resistance movement play a role in showing China its place? Let's debate.
RP Singh of the BJP, Ambassador Stobden, General Bakshi, Tibetan writer and activist Tenzin Sundu, Praveen Khandelwal of the Confederation of All India Traders, Pranay Ajmera, analyst from Nagpur, Professor Swaran Singh, chairman of the Center for International Politics at JNU, Vivek Srivastav and Ranjit Keshav, political analyst from Tiruvananthapuram. May I invite on the debate first Pranay Ajmera, if you can hear me, with Tenzin Sundu, who's joining us from Delhi. Pranay and Tenzin will begin the debate. Please pay close attention, and the hashtag, viewers, is boycott China. Tenzin, I'd like you to open. I also believe that it is possible for India to boycott Chinese products because they have a multi-billion-dollar market in the country. Secondly, I agree with the views that were expressed in that report, that China understands the wallet even better than it understands the bullet. A fact I want to place to you, viewers. Chinese imports to India rise by 50 billion in a decade, 2017 to 2018, while India registers a trade deficit of 157 billion in 2017-18. So who loses more? If we get tough on business, Tenzin, I think China loses more. Do you think it's practical to boycott China in everyday life?
Firstly, why are we saying boycott made in China? Why are we not saying boycott made in, for example, products from Germany or Japan or South Korea or American products? We are not saying those. We know we value them. We are saying boycott made in China products because Chinese products are made out of cheap labor, taking advantage of the Chinese laborers. They've occupied countries like Tibet, East Turkestan, Mongolia. 60% of Chinese landmass is occupied and bombing the mountains, taking natural resources and making cheap made in China products. Therefore, the resources are taken for free and therefore they are able to do this. Now, how is it affecting India? Because in India, there is a mentality called cheap and best. This has created a mentality that anything and everything is okay. There's no value for quality. India means quality. China means poor quality, and therefore China has become that. Made in China products, boycott is possible, and we must know this. And it is made in China products we are buying, we are selling, and our money goes to China. China is using that money to bring in their soldiers on Indian borders. China is using that money to feed Pakistan, and we don't want to do that. And this is what is called, the Chinese money is astin ka samp, where we feed the Chinese snake, and that comes to bite, and it is the one that is today standing at the Indian border and troubling us, putting pressure on this. As a Tibetan, I'm a refugee. For 60 years, we have suffered Chinese occupation. We know this. We have been telling people around the world that we are suffering. We need to take care of this. People thought, okay, forget the Tibetans. We can trade with China. But now, internationally, everybody knows this, that trading with China has become a biggest mistake to the world. And therefore, not only India, people around the world are boycotting China. And compared to other countries, Indian production is a little better. We have not fallen dependent on China. And therefore, it is time now, not before we fall completely dependent on Chinese products, it is time now to really become what Narendra Modi ji, our Prime Minister, has said, Atmanirbhar करने के लिए आत्मनिर्माण करना चाहिए. It is not just to boycott, also to create our own products, high quality Indian products. This is the time.
Yes. Tenzin Sundu lays it very clearly at the start. Pranay, I wish you to respond on the other side today. The question is, all your aggression of the Chinese on the one side and their carpet bombing of our consumer market on the other. Now, some people will tell us, divide the two. I find it impossible to divide the two. I'd like you to make your point, and then I'd like Ambassador Stobden to come in. Viewers, can you divide the two, I'm asking you? See the pictures of what's happening today in Ladakh. See the manner in which the Chinese soldiers are trying to push their way in. See our men out there fight for our country, with life and limb and everything. All the mobilization, all our effort on one side. And viewers, I'm asking you tonight, will we allow the carpet bombing of our consumer industry just because of the reasons Tenzin put out there? Responding from Nagpur, yes, Pranay.
Yes, thank you, Arnab, for allowing me to speak. Arnab, see, boycotting China and Chinese products
is a wonderful initiative which every Indian from heart wants. But is it practical? The answer is, I'm sorry, but the answer is no. This is for the reason that we are dependent on China, just not for the finished product, but also for the raw material. Indian market and Indian consumers' tendency is something we have to take into consideration this time. Indian consumers mostly go for the products which are low in cost. And that is what the main point of China is. China produces products low in quality, low in cost. And that is where China leads the market. At the same time, we have to take into consideration the fact that every festival in India today has Chinese intrusion, Chinese products intrusion. When it comes to Diwali, we have to run a campaign that stop Chinese products, stop Chinese lights, stop Chinese crackers. When it is Holi,
Exactly. That is the reason why we are saying boycott made in China products. We have fallen dependent on Chinese products. We have to make our own products. Why can't we make our own?
We have to make our
Diwali
our own products.
Why can't we?
But have we?
Why are you saying we still have to buy?
The fact that our products
They are
I can't hear
taking
Pranay
advantage
clearly. Can you
of
improve the audio?
our market.
only we have suitable raw material. There
No,
are
one minute.
number of
I
products.
believe Pranay, if I may please come in here. You see,
Yes,
it
please.
depends on how you think. If we want to become hostage to the sentiment, and I want Ambassador Stobden to come in, he has really strong views on this, and I'd like to get him into the debate right now with anyone on the other side. You know, I think Ambassador Stobden, we have become hostage to the mentality that we cannot live without cheap Chinese products. I think the question is in the mindset. And I think India's mindset is strongly changing. Secondly, look at who's losing and who's gaining. You know, we can live without it. Why shouldn't Indians boycott Chinese products? India is sitting on the second largest mobile phone market in the world. Second largest mobile phone market in the world. Why should we hand it on a platter to China? Now, one second. One minute. 1 minute. Pranay, you're still speaking, right? Can I ask the director to please put Pranay on the right? Pranay, complete your point, and then I'm getting Ambassador Stobden. Yeah. I don't think we can be hostage to that mentality.
See, Arnab, I listen to your point. Arnab, we have our largest or maybe the second largest mobile market. But have we pondered over the fact that all the mobile companies are more or less connected to China? If the product is
my
not made in
question
China,
is, wait 1 minute. Listen, trade barriers can be lifted and raised depending on political considerations. Point number one. Second point,
Okay.
Ambassador Stobden, let's get Ambassador Stobden in. 20% of our auto products come from China, Ambassador Stobden. 45% of our consumer durables come from China. 40% of our leather products come from China. You think we can't make leather products? We can't make consumer
Definitely.
durables?
We can make.
Tomorrow you'll say we can't make
pin to-
toothpaste?
from
We
pin
can't,
to aeroplane.
34%
We
of
can
our
make every
electronic
product.
merchandise comes from China. We can't make electronic merchandise?
We can make
What are you
anything and
talking
everything
about?
under the sun.
What are
We
you
can make
talking
anything
about?
and
We can.
everything.
We can.
But Arnab,
Show me one thing we cannot make. I'm sorry,
Please
Indians will
consider
pay a
the
price
fact
if
that
necessary.
we need raw
Ambassador
material.
Stobden.
Do we have ample raw material? We have to be dependent on China either directly or indirectly.
No. Ambassador
And
Stobden
that
is on the
we cannot
debate.
bring that
Ranjit
change right
Keshav on the
over
right.
single day.
Ambassador Stobden on the debate. Viewers, please
Arnab,
tell us where you stand.
Arnab.
The live poll is going on. Yes,
Arnab.
Ambassador. Yeah.
Arnab, you given a list of very difficult items, motor vehicles, spare parts, electronics, and all that. I am giving you one instance, one newspaper report which came that 80 crores rupees worth agarbatti we are importing from. Can you tell me, out of 1.3 billion people, we can't make agarbatti? What it goes, it's not a rocket science to make agarbatti in this country. We have all the ingredients to make agarbatti. We are known for agarbatti. In fact, the Chinese I saw, they want Indian agarbatti because it has a spiritual content. And that one has a chemical content. So, I don't know, but that's why I fear my own incapabilities. That needs to be boosted now. I come back to the substantive point, Arnab. My friend, my brother, Sonam Wangchuk has rightly said the Chinese fear wallet, not bullet. I would add one more. They do not fear T for terrorism. They fear D, democracy. They can deal with terrorism
Well said.
from Pakistan or wherever it comes from with bullets. When their actual fear of India is that Indian democracy cannot be handled. So therefore, how can you kill democracy? So this is their biggest problem the Chinese have. Unfortunately, we, as Sunde has said, Tenzin has said, we haven't really thought about dealing with China in a very, very, in a hard way. We're just giving, here and there some kind of things, knee-jerk responses, respond to this kind of a small crisis. But overall strategy is missing. I talk to Sunde all the time, Tenzin all the time. We do require
Tenzin.
a very substantive policy now. Otherwise, the most important thing which you mentioned is that President Trump had a long conversation or telephonic conversation with Prime Minister Modi. That's the more substantive part. We are going to become a member of the G7 now. That's the substantive part. The rhetorical part, we have to be very, very careful. It is a very measured confrontation with China now. It's a very calculated, risk-oriented confrontation with China. So therefore, it's a target-oriented confrontation, what is happening in Eastern Ladakh.
Yeah.
So therefore, our goal has to be achieved. And G7 is one of our goals. And let's be very clear. But also we need to be mindful that we control our emotions. You know, don't go frenzy.
No.
So that government, see, since we are a democracy, we have to listen to public sentiment.
No, absolutely.
Public
You see,
but
public sentiment right now, Ambassador Stobden, as a journalist, we also speak to a wide variety of people. I can assure you, Ambassador Stobden, that there is genuine public sentiment against China in India now. Secondly, there is a growing view, Ambassador, also, and Ranjit, you need to remember this, that we must value our own market. Tenzin Sundu is absolutely right. Tenzin, you know, we don't value the entry to the Indian market, what it means. For example, you know, TikTok, 323 million downloads in India. Now, 323 million Indians can also join hands to promote Swadeshi apps. Don't tell me that we cannot have...
What about the Facebook?
One minute. Entry into the Indian market is with conditions.
What about Twitter?
Whether it is Facebook or Twitter.
No,
1 minute.
What about American products?
If tomorrow America invades India, it will have the same repercussions. Don't tell me you can do business and become an enemy nation. Tomorrow you will tell us allow Pakistani apps into India. Don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous. Ranjit Keshav is on the debate. Ranjit Keshav with GD Bakshi.
Have created Islamic terrorism.
Let's have everyone else. Ranjit.
Arnab emotional rhetoricism.
What is emotional? Are you not emotional about your country?
Rhetoric skills.
I am emotional about my country. No, are you not emotional about your country? Yes, it's emotional. 1 minute, Ranjiv, listen to me 1 minute, Ranjiv. 1 minute, I'll catch you there, 1 minute. 1 minute. I was being very civilized till now, I'll have to respond in kind now. Wait a minute. Don't deride me by saying I'm emotional. All of us are emotional about our country. Why should we not be?
If you decide to quit a Lenovo, what is the alternate that you're going to give to the Indian citizens?
If I
All
decide...
I'm asking is that. If you want to compete with China, then you have to be like China.
Excuse me. Can I answer?
Excuse me. 1 minute. Ranjiv,
Asian countries.
Ranjiv, can I respond to you?
Japan, and that is where they get the raw materials.
Ranjiv, can I respond to you? Ranjiv, can I respond to you? One minute, please. General Saab, one line I'll respond to him. You know, you are weak when you think you are weak. In a battle, you can never win if you start from a position of mental weakness. And let me tell you, the Chinese in the art of war. 1 minute, allow me to complete, please, Ranjiv. Understand the Chinese. Ranjiv, understand the Chinese. The Chinese project more than they are. Point number 1. But they're very strong at projection. You are saying, oh, you have to do business with the Chinese. They have to give you raw materials. What if I turn around and say, but why do I have to throw cash at the Chinese? Why does General Bakshi need to throw cash at the Chinese? Tell me why. It's a buyer's market. Why should, what do you mean, how will you? What do you mean? Yes, he will. We will not die. We will not die if we go Swadeshi. General Bakshi.
Producing Mangalain for 350 crores, but we cannot produce a quality mobile phone for 20,000 rupees.
Who decides quality? Who decides quality? You are telling me the Chinese have quality.
Thank you.
What quality do the Chinese bring? You must be the only person on planet Earth who links the Chinese with quality.
Where is Carbon? Where is Micromax? They were the pioneers. They were supplying.
Well, because there's capital dumping in India.
In the world. But where is carbon? Where is Micromax?
Because there is capital dumping in India.
We have been having this debate.
Ranjiv Keshav and GD Bakshi.
Years now. Have you
Even
taken a step
before
ahead?
the-
Have you taken a step ahead?
You know, Keshav, Ranjit, can I please come in? Ranjit, can I please come in?
About,
Thank
making
you.
India as the pharmaceutical
Hello.
capital.
Excuse me.
We are still taking active pharmaceutical ingredients from China. We're talking
You
about
are
digital
1 minute,
India.
1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Can I come in?
Okay,
1 minute,
we got
1 minute. No,
that.
no, no,
Can
no,
I
no,
please
no,
come in?
no, 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 1 minute, 1 minute. I want to come in one line, General Bakshi. He said you are taking all your pharmaceutical inputs from China. Now, where you are mistaken, my dear friend, when Manmohan Singh opened up the economy, okay, he did not protect the domestic pharmaceutical industry to the point where basic drugs for even fever started getting imported from China. Listen to me. We started importing everything from paracetamol to China. It was the responsibility of the then Congress government to build some competence in the Indian private sector pharmaceutical industry before allowing the Chinese to walk in. My bigger point is, General Bakshi, because of our thoughtlessness, we've allowed the Chinese to walk over all over us. No, we have to give, there has to be an entry barrier.
You know,
There has to be an entry barrier to entering India. Respect India to do business in
Excuse
India.
me.
General Bakshi.
You know, Arnab, it is not just the face-off with the Chinese that should encourage a demand to boycott Chinese goods. We have been saying it for years. You know, our biggest problem is, our biggest asset is our youth dividend. But that also presents the biggest problem because you have to provide jobs. How can you offshore jobs to China and have your own industries languish, kill your own micro, medium, small scale industrial sector, which is the largest job provider? You know, our Ganesha idols, our Lakshmis, our Shivas have to come from China. And every Diwali we must light up our houses. You kill the diya industry. You kill those poor villagers who used to make those diyas for you. You know, and you know, Arnab, for 70 years plus, you know, we've been dependent upon the foreigners for arms.
Back to socialism.
Dependent upon arms.
Back to socialism,
you know,
and down with capitalism.
Time that we wanted to create our own.
I'm so happy, General Bakshi.
It is
It's back to socialism you're talking
my
of.
friend. It is.
Yes,
it
it is socialism.
nationalism.
You are killing your
want to
public
keep
sector
buying your
enterprises.
tanks and aircraft
You are
from
selling your
outside.
PSUs.
If we had
You
stopped.
are selling your PSUs. You are going for a capitalist America. You don't develop your own
They're going
factories.
to the private sector.
The government doesn't handle
Which will be
PSUs
far
properly.
more efficient.
You are selling your
Our
assets to
PSUs,
private
sir,
players.
could not
to the
have
likes of
stopped
the
shouting
Fed.
Sardar RP Singh also on the debate right now, viewers.
So come back to
Just by raising
socialism.
your voice, you don't become right.
No.
I'm telling
socialism.
you that
If you want to be
our
like
bloody
China,
PSUs,
you got to have the
our
discipline.
PSUs
You want to be like
could
China,
not
you have to have
add
the
a machine
dedication.
gun to
You want
the
to be like
MiG-21.
China, you have to
It is
throw
our
the
Air Force.
capitalism out
It's
of
our
the
Air
nation.
Force.
Tax the rich.
Air
Take from
Force
the rich and give it to the poor.
workshops that did it. Take from the
don't
rich,
know
give it to
anything,
the
General
poor.
Bakshi.
Okay,
You don't
by
know the
all means,
economics.
give it to the poor. Have
You
the
don't know the
trickle down
economics of
effect.
China.
Have the trickle down effect.
Come on, it's a
So-
communist nation. They are
No, no,
disciplined.
that's
They're
what
not
we are
like the
saying.
Americans whose line you talk.
I don't understand what
They're
you are driving
not like the
at.
Americans where Narendra
I
Modi
think-
goes and
I
does the
think-
line.
I don't understand
And down
what
with
you are
America,
driving at.
which is an imperialistic country.
Praveen
I want to
Khandelwal is on the
separate the
debate.
economics of
I'd
India.
like Professor Swaran Singh to come into the debate with Professor Swaran Singh. Professor Swaran Singh, is it a crime? Is it a crime to link nationalism with your diplomacy and your economic diplomacy? I think every country should do it. My point is, why should we throw cash at the Chinese when their state media house is attacking us every day? There are serious transgressions in Galwan Valley, larger hot spring area, finger area of the Pangong Lake. Why can't we say, why should we fund their industries? Their industries pay taxes in China to fuel such incursions. They are using Nepal as a pawn. They entered our territory. On 17th May, they entered our territory. They entered 12 to 15 kilometers in the Samdho region of Lahaul Spiti district of Himachal Pradesh. So, what's wrong if I say, why should I buy Chinese toys? or electronics
Two
or
things
Chinese
I
stationery?
want to start with. One,
Yes.
that absolutely every country uses diplomacy to pursue their national interest, and nationalism is part of it. So there is absolutely no doubt that one has to defend one's nation and nation's interests.
About it. Second, there
There is also no doubt that over years now, both the frequency and intensity of Chinese interventions or ingressions on the border have increased, and that is a matter of concern to us. Right now, because of COVID-19, not only India, the whole world is angry with China. We understand there is this sentiment behind this once again boycott China kind of a campaign happening. But this is not the first time. And I think that is important to underline. Is it any different this time? I want to ask a question. When we want to boycott Chinese products, how do we know what is Chinese products? Every Chinese product has inputs from South Korea, from Taiwan, from United States, from other countries. Countries are so connected in terms of production chain that you cannot identify any product today which will be exclusively Chinese product. So that will be first difficulty that we will face. Second difficulty, we are a celebrated democracy, and part of democracy also means choice that the consumer must make. Consumer must decide what he wants to buy and what he does not want to buy.
That's a very narrow definition. One minute. Within, no, are you saying today, one minute, sir, one minute. May I ask you one thing? Pradeep Khandelwal wants to counter you. Professor Swaran Singh, 1 minute, please. Professor Swaran Singh, 1 minute, please. You see, now we come to a very critical part of the argument. Praveen Khandelwal, 1 minute. Can I take a sentence before I come to you, Praveen ji? You see, Professor Swaran Singh.
Yeah, please.
The definition of a democracy that you are presenting. Now, I say that if the Pakistanis are carrying out Pulwama, I will not allow Pakistani actors in my industry to make money on Indian soil. Are you saying if I say that, I'm not a Democrat anymore?
That is the choice that
Then you say, no, sir, 1 minute. Sir, democracy, we remember we are a democratic nation, Professor. Nationalism is not subservient to democracy.
And people can decide to boycott a particular film because they don't like because Pakistanis are sitting there.
No.
But your consumers are liking Chinese products.
I think you, again, Professor Swaran Singh, you come from a fundamental premise that you are using, and also our friend from Nagpur has been using earlier in the debate, where basically Pranay also said it's a good idea, but you can't implement it. I believe it's a good idea and you can implement it, but I'd like Praveen Khandelwal, who represents the Confederation of All India Traders, to tell me whether it is practically possible. Praveen, please come into the debate with Pranay or with Professor Swaran Singh, both of whom say it can't happen.
Arnab, let me be very clear to each and everybody that please listen to me. Arnab, through your show, let me tell everybody who is present in the debate and who are listening to your debate that why can't we do it? We will do it, and we are in a capable position to do it. There is no rocket science involved in it. What we have done, we have identified 3,000 products of China which are being imported into India. And from 10th of June, we are going to launch a nationwide agitation, nationwide campaign, and we are going to tell the people, and 7 crore traders of the country have decided to boycott Chinese product, even at the cost if we have to lose our business. Number one. Secondly, we need to understand the behavioral change in the consumers. Now, because my 7 crore traders are dealing with...
Pranay, let him complete, I'll come to you. Pranay, let him complete.
Please.
I'll give you a full turn.
Let me complete. Our 7 crore traders across country are fully geared and prepared to face 130 crore people of India to cater to their needs with the domestic product in comparison to China. So why we can't do it? We will do it. And my friend Mr. Ajmera, let me tell you that this Diwali is gone are the days for the Chinese Diwali. This Diwali will be the purely Hindustani Diwali, and this Holi will be the purely Hindustani Holi. And don't limit your
Viewers,
dreams.
I'll show you some
Why?
pictures. The pictures on
why
your
don't
screen.
we-
1 minute. I'll show you some pictures. These are
Arnab,
people in Ghatkopar in Mumbai, I am told, burning Chinese products. So I'm just showing this to you. The sentiment is growing. Vivek, why are you shouting? I'd like Praveen Khandelwal to debate with Vivek. Vivek is from the Communist Party, Praveen. He says, ho hi nahi sakta hai. He says you cannot build. He says you cannot build. Praveen Khandelwal and Vivek. Yeah, go on.
Arnab, I माल की इस मुल्क
No,
में
I know Vivek is going to take.
आप सुनिए पहले
Vivek is bound to take the side of China because ultimately it is a communism.
Oh no, I'm not on the side of China. I'm on the side of India. I'm an Indian. I love India.
आप हिंदुस्तान में रह करके
gas like you.
आप हिंदुस्तान में रह करके आप अपनी मदद से क्या बात करते हैं विवेक जी? आप क्या बात करते हैं?
इस देश का बिजनेसमैन
आप क्या बात करते हैं?
प्रॉफिट बनाता है. इस देश का बिजनेसमैन लेबर क्लास को
क्या बात करते हैं?
वेजेस नहीं देता. इस देश का फैक्ट्री ओनर
Praveen Khandelwal.
I vote for you, Mr. Vivek. Mr. Vivek, I vote for you. You have to take your words back. You have to take your words back. I vote for you. How can you never judge this?
Praveen Khandelwal, calm down.
How can you never judge this?
चाइना को काउंटर करना है.
Praveen Khandelwal.
समाजवाद लाइए पहले.
Let Praveen Khandelwal speak.
You have to do, Mr. Vivek.
ये देश
You
के
can't never.
नहीं कर रहे.
You can't never judge this, which you cannot substantiate.
टैक्स इवेजन करता है.
No, you better be clear today. Today,
I vote for your
Praveen
argument.
Khandelwal, let me tell you one thing. Vivek, stop provoking him. 1 minute. Mr. Khandelwal, let me tell you, I appreciate what you say. Ignore Vivek. I want Ranjit Keshav to come into the debate. You see, the point here is, we have to stop trying to do these stereotypes. I was listening very closely to Praveen Khandelwal. And he began by saying today, Ranjit, that we as the traders of India have taken up a challenge. We have identified more than 3,000 product lines in which we will promote and create Indian alternatives. Now, we must not underestimate ourselves. There is no area where Indians cannot excel. And the second point, Ranjit, which you made here is, why can't India make cell phones? Why can't India make pharmaceuticals? We can. But we have allowed tremendous amount of capital dumping in India. But if shopkeepers pledge not to sell Chinese products...
Correct.
No. This what appears to me this time, the sentiment is different, the confidence is greater. No, you speak to Mr. Khandelwal, please. Ask him the questions.
No,
Sorry,
Ranjit,
let me complete my statement.
You asked whether this is possible.
Ranjit, just give me a minute.
It is possible.
Just give me a minute and I will hear you patiently.
This is not possible overnight. This will take time. This will take probably.
Who says it is overnight? It will take time. Yes, it will take time. But we have to begin. We have to start the beginning.
The central will have to bring in land reforms. The central will have to bring in labor laws. The central will have to build infrastructure. It takes time. Overnight, it is not possible to do it. Trade jingoism will be detrimental to the country. We need to understand. Till December 2019, the investment of China into India is up to $8 billion. They're creating job opportunity. No, I'm not saying, it is right. You take the jobs back. You push these companies out. Then what is the alternate? Do we have an alternate to give them in the next 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years? In the past, we have seen that, we have failed several times.
So that means we should remain hostage of China.
Will not help us. Trade jingoism will not help us. We need to improve our
This is not emotional.
To East Asian countries.
And if it is emotional,
why we cannot do
emotional
it?
towards
As a
my
consumer,
motherland.
I will stop using
I want
phones.
but it will have to be led by the government, Pradeep. One minute. One minute. Praveen Khandelwal, it will have to be led by the government. I want to ask RP Singh. Mr. Khandelwal, one minute. Mr. Khandelwal, one minute. I'm coming to you. RP Singh, see, you have to, if you're saying Swadeshi, very good. But let me ask you a specific question. Can you shut down all companies from China that indulge in capital dumping in India? Because Chinese companies will put in hundreds of millions of dollars in specific areas, therefore killing Indian enterprise. They will buy over, take over, dominate the supply chains. Can you increase anti-dumping duties? Not just increase anti-dumping duties, can you downright block these companies? Question one. Secondly, can you increase tariffs on Chinese products? You are saying future Chinese investment will go through approvals. Can you increase tariffs on Chinese products? So even if they make money, they pay for those profits in India. Why shouldn't India put down China-specific tariffs? In the given context, 1 minute, you can't be friendly on the one side on business while being forced into confrontations in Ladakh. If Praveen Khandelwal is willing to shoulder it, if the people of India are willing to take the pain and support your Swadeshi drive, how much further will the government go? Can the government go further? You see, you have to, I would say, why would you cow down to the Chinese on Tibet?
That is the problem.
Stop cowing down to the Chinese on Tibet. Openly support Tibet.
No.
Right? Openly, openly provoke China. If I could have my way, openly provoke China.
The business class of this nation
openly promote the Dalai Lama.
They don't contribute to the nation.
Openly promote the Dalai Lama.
For the labor
show our allegiance to the people not just of Ladakh but of Tibet. To the free Buddhist people of the world, show their allegiance. Take them everywhere. Take them on everywhere in business in the South China Sea and in Tibet. There is no. What I say, Sardar R.P. Singh, is that 1 minute, Vivek. Why do you give running commentary when I'm making a point, Baba? Sardar R.P. Singh, why do you not go all the way? People of India will support you.
देश का भ्रष्ट है कि नहीं है?
आप रुक जाइए ना 2 मिनट।
Sir, the business class of the nation is corrupt.
आपको जी जिनपिंग की ज्यादा चिंता है क्या? उसकी तो खुद की नौकरी जाने वाली है। आरपी सिंह,
आप क्या मैन्युफैक्चर करेंगे?
सरदार आरपी सिंह, सरदार आरपी सिंह,
बोलिए सर, बोलिए।
Audio not clear. Bad audio. I need to. I'll let GD Bakshi come in. I'll fix your audio. GD Bakshi. I think it's up to the government. GD Bakshi, what do you say?
You know, Arnab, absolutely. Every country has to give primacy to its own self-interest. And look at China's penal trade practices. Australia got tough. They have stopped buying beef from Australia. This is what China does. Do it. Give it the same. Give him the same medicine. Because he needs to know that he has to behave in the international arena. He can't kick our, he can't try and push us around militarily and then expect us to buy his good, keep our lips sealed on Tibet. Why the hell should we? And you will be doing your country the greatest favor. You will be giving jobs to your boys. It is these so-called worker parties, these communists who are the greatest enemies of the Indian worker. They are offshoring jobs to China. He is here to see that China prospers. Like hell we will accept it anymore. Why should our boys not get jobs here?
But
why should our boys not get jobs here?
We have to be practical. Our emotions cannot drive us
20 years back, we had the option to make chips in our country.
1 minute. I'd like to hear Tenzin Sundu again. Tenzin, the biggest argument, and I want you to come in with Ranjiv. Tenzin will debate with Ranjiv. Tenzin, people like Ranjiv say, great idea, but you can't do it. Now, let me ask you, is it practical? In January 2003, 1,400 shopkeepers in India took pledges not to sell any made-in-China goods in Dharamshala. Did it last? Question number 2. 70 million traders warned to burn Chinese products on March 19th last year when China stopped our bid to blacklist Masood Azhar at the UN. Did it last? Very practical I am asking because I want Mr. Khandelwal and Tenzin on one side and I would like Ranjiv and Swaran Singh on the other. My question is, will it last? You see, there are calls made. What they are saying is, Tenzin, there are calls made to ban Chinese products even earlier. In 2016, after the Uri attack, there were calls because China backed Pakistan in the UN. 10 to 20% for a while demand in Chinese goods fell down, but then again you see that from 2017 Chinese started investing hundreds of millions of dollars in phones, other things in India, big marketing. Again they came back. So my question is, does it last? Can it last? Should it last? Tenzin.
Most importantly, it will depend on the will of the people. If people do not will it, it will once again relapse to going back to saying it is cheap, we will buy. It is available, we will buy. But what you do not understand, especially those who are arguing for China, you must know that China is one country that weaponizes trade. Today, they will make you buy things cheaper. Tomorrow, you fall dependent. And next day, they will then say, if you do not buy this, we will do this, we will do that. They will arm twist you. Then trade that we today talk about, they will use it as a weapon. They are doing the same thing with many other countries. For tourism, they will say, have a good relationship. If you don't, we will not allow the tourists to go to your country.
No, don't respond to me. Respond to Tenzin.
About natural resources, about these cheap products that you are talking about. So therefore, let me complete. So in order to really run this trade, one, we need to make a decision. There should be the will, and people, once they do this, government should also take part in this in terms of tariff and also protection of local production.
And we must also not discount the possibility, Tenzin, that the business like nature abhors a vacuum. Where the Chinese go out, there'll be British, German, Korean goods which will flood the Indian market. It's not as if that'll be Indian goods will come in, Indian manufacturers will come in. The issue of weaponizing trade, everybody is on the debate.
Yes.
Ranjiv, small rebut from you. Yeah. And let's get RP Singh's audio fixed.
Arnabji, you spoke about whether the government can do something or not. Now, media people like you are talking about it, fantastic. As a consumer, I'm ready to quit Chinese products, fantastic. The traders are burning Chinese products, fantastic. But has anybody from the government spoken in the last couple of days regarding this? Absolutely none. Nobody is talking about
RP
it.
should answer that.
Not possible.
RP.
Because India and China, they are part of WTO. The total trade value is roughly $140 billion. So the Indian government Indian government wouldn't take the accountability on their shoulders to come out and say that, just boycott it. You can talk about it and I will
essentially
talk about
you can all four stay on the debate. I don't need to be on the screen. Let them come back on the debate. RP, essentially about 4 panelists have said, they're all pointing at you. They're saying you're shooting off the shoulders of the media. You're shooting off the shoulders of activists. What are you doing? Why? No, what are you doing? Why don't, no, 1 second. All this acting tough and all is fine. In trade terms, what you're saying is future investment will be subject to a second round of checks, and that also you do not mention China by name. You mention countries which have a coterminous land border or land border with India. Even there you're too afraid to mention China. Exactly. You see, come on, mention China, take them on, no? किस चीज से डरते हैं आप? थोड़ा नाम लेकर इनको आप रिस्पॉन्ड कीजिए तो वो समझ जाएंगे बात. नहीं, मैं आरपी सिंह का जवाब लेके रहूंगा. बोलिए.
खुद डरते हैं. आरपी सिंह खुद डरते हैं.
अरे बात छोड़े. प्रोफेसर साहब, it's a people's movement. It was a people's movement. Let me join.
Audio is very bad. Can you just take off the headset and just hold the phone directly and speak to me? Take off the headset. Pick up your phone. I want the phone audio.
There is a problem, Arnab.
Okay, just. I hope you're not using a Chinese headset. There, see. I'll bring him back. He's back. 1 second. Yes, I want to hear RP Singh. We are all patiently going to wait. Yes, RP Singh. See, I am doing my bit. Everybody is doing your bit. What is the government doing? It's not getting the audio at all. Okay, we'll get you on a phone line.
Arnab, can I just come in here?
No, I want Ambassador Stobden to come in. I think that on that point, the government should step forward. Can they, Ambassador Stobden? RP Singh will fix the phone line. Yeah, Ambassador Stobden.
Look, Arnab, emotionally, I am with you. That's my feeling also. We should not buy any Chinese product because if it suits us, we should not buy it. But people like Professor Soren Singh, myself, and General Bakshi are professional analysts. My problem with China is balance of power. Issues like trade, economy, commerce, including Tibet, these are leverages, these are cards, instruments that we use to achieve a larger goal. Per se, these are not our objective. If it suits us, we will import. If it doesn't suit us, we will reject. So that's a very dynamic thing. We cannot say that let's stop here. You never know, because the Chinese also produce material on our, produce goods on our material. They import a lot of raw material from us, $30–40 billion worth material we supply to the Chinese, and they buy the finished product come to India. So there is certain amount of interdependency. Certainly in spirit, yes, over a period of time, we should stop buying everything from the Chinese, because as Tenzin said, they are trying to weaponize everything they have into achieving certain national goal. So that is understood now from the Belt and Road also. Yeah. There are many things they are trying to do. So
Ambassador Stobden.
Let's not fall into their trap like any other small country.
Ambassador Stobden, you are a professional analyst. I'm not, but even Swaran Singh, I would agree. I think we need to look at three things. First of all, we need enhanced defense expenditure to neutralize any Chinese advantage. We need to strengthen our diplomatic cadre, bring in a new professional group to strengthen our diplomatic presence globally. We need to firewall our economy. I'm not impractical, Swaran Singh. I'm saying firewall our economy. We can't allow them to walk all over our economy.
As Stobden just now said, that emotionally perhaps most of us would agree with what you're saying. India has to become stronger, India has to be great, India has to be powerful. But we also have to see where we are. This issue of deficit and unequal trade is going on for the last 15 years. I've heard of import substitution for 45 years. I've heard of this boycott of foreign products right at the time of Dadabhai Naoroji onwards. I think we have to address how we can gradually improvise and learn from that.
I agree with you.
So let us say, identify products which can easily be substituted and should not be imported from China.
Correct.
That could be the first step. Second step, make yourself competitive. I don't think we need to seal borders with other countries that I will be self-reliant. Self-reliance does not mean that I will produce everything I even consume myself. So fundamentally, we have to become competitive so that other countries require us just as much as we require them. So if it is an equal relationship, then whether it is a relationship with a country like China, where we have complicated relationship, or with other countries where we have relatively easier and friendly relationship, fundamentally it is in international relations your strength that matters. Economic strength, military strength, your soft power.
But diplomacy is also...
we have to address our own limitations. What makes us so vulnerable?
Professor, my polite disagreement with you at the end is, we don't need to feel vulnerable. I'll give you three responses. One, why have we not thought about technology restrictions? Huawei faces technology restrictions globally. Secondly, you say, where do we stand? Are we worse than Indonesia? Indonesia has cleared up 4,000 hectares of land in central Java to accommodate American companies. They're moving fast. We need to move fast as well. Thirdly, we need to be part of a global alliance. Japan, Britain, US, let's be opportunistic. Our long-term friendship will never be with China. I think this whole business of peaceful coexistence won't work, but we'll keep it for another time. This has been a very interesting conversation. And I've had some very fantastic new panelists. It's good to see my friend Tenzin Sundu after many years. I can see, Tenzin, you're getting younger and more fierce over the years. And I look forward to having you on a debate with the Chinese soon. Thank you everyone for joining me on that debate. And finally, ladies and gentlemen,